Good evening, everyone. It's Mitch here again from Shifting Forward, and this is the third, or maybe even the fourth in the series, on the Intention series, which is around the book by Abbey Lawless called Reset, Power Up, and Thrive. And this evening, I'm chatting with a good friend of ours, Josh May. Good evening, Josh.
Hey, how's it going, Mitch?
Very well, thank you. Look at you,
It's
all the way down in South Australia.
Oh, look, I'm doing my best to survive the winter chill. We've had our first rain of the season today, first in about 3 months, so it's been really nice just to have that happen.
Wonderful. Hey, listen. Let's start with how you got into music. Or actually, let's start with how you met Abby,
Yeah,
and
cool.
I think there's a musical connection there as well.
There definitely is. So I met Abby through a chorus that we were both a part of, so a choir for the non-Americans in the room. We made the decision to launch a mixed choir. Basically, previously we'd only been singing as a group of men, and we decided, hey, it's 2021. We've got a really good opportunity here to expand our offering a bit, and so we created. We jumped feet first into creating a mixed choir, and Abby was one of the first people who came along to join us there. And I think we bonded immediately on a couple of things. One, we both went to the same university, so that was in a small community like the Gold Coast, pretty pretty exciting.
Yeah,
And then I was just immediately struck by her dedication to learning straight away, and her what I read as like a commitment to her friends and her loved ones, I think. And that's just something that's stuck with me. She is such an authentically present, authentically herself person, and
yeah.
it's something that I really really love about being friends with her.
And that takes us into the next thing. Obviously, music is the connection there. But
Yeah.
how does music sit with you? What does music mean in your life?
I would describe it as possibly the most important thing in my life now. Like everybody, we've all got family, we work, we have all of these things, but I think I spend more of my time thinking about singing or getting ready to sing or thinking about ways that I can share music with people than I do in pretty much any other area of my life. I go to work and nobody says, oh, how are you feeling about this project? They usually ask me straight away because they know
Yeah.
when's your next gig? When are you next singing again? So I would describe it as kind of my animating force, I suppose. Like it's the thing that gets me out of bed. It's the thing that keeps me going and thinking about where I want to travel next and where I want to sing next. And, wouldn't it be cool to sing in this beautiful location? And I think that's just yeah, it's basically the thing that gets me out of bed.
All right. So it's got a strong mindset and mental component to it then, which is something that Abby
Absolutely.
discusses in one of the modules in the book.
Yeah.
Um, have you got maybe a specific instance where music may have helped you through something that was either a challenge or a struggle of some sort?
I think so, yeah. So as you know, I moved to the Gold Coast when I was 17 and a half and to go to university. And I made friends at university, the way that most people do, but I never really felt like I had made like very meaningful connections with people. And so I spent a lot of my like late teens and early 20s quite lonely. Until I took a plunge into getting back into singing because I'd taken this break to focus on boring things like getting a degree, and
Yeah.
so and so I kind of focused my energy on finding a group to sing with that I thought would be a cool hobby to take on the nights when I wasn't studying. And then very quickly, it became my social circle. It became the way for me to make friends, the way for me to maintain relationships with people was spending time with them singing side by side on a Monday night or a Tuesday night, as it was at that time.
Right.
And so I guess the emotional block really was that I was lonely and needed, I was looking for some sort of connection with the people around me, looking to make friends, that kind of thing. And yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it wouldn't have happened if we were like a pottery club instead, but there is something I think about working together to create something which is like more beautiful than the sum of its parts individually that I think is a really bonding force. So yeah, I've always been
You're
thankful.
referring to harmony and singing together to create a greater sound than individual singers.
Exactly.
Is that what you're
I
saying?
am, yeah. Yeah. So harmony specifically, but also the experience of, having, say, 30 people all working on different parts. And even when they're not necessarily harmonic, it's just, the different rhythms add lovely texture to a piece that has just been existing on paper otherwise. It's through the power of our teamwork and our brains and our musical ability that we bring it to life. And I think that's just magic.
Yeah. So it's firstly a collaboration element. Secondly, the harmony of creating something together. Creating harmony together, but also the harmony of creating something together.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, harmony in all the components. Yeah.
And I guess also helping other people through things that they may need to either power up or thrive on, or even reset.
Exactly.
Have you got any stories or any anecdotes around people whom you have sung with who may have been struggling with an issue, who have powered up, reset themselves, and are now thriving as a result of music?
Yeah. Well, I think what I have noticed about the ability to like put your energy into singing in a group together, basically, and this could happen in an orchestra too, but I've never played in an orchestra, so I just think choirs are the coolest thing that we've invented as humans, but that's just me. I've definitely seen this happen. So normally when somebody joins the group, they do it for the same reasons that I do, which is you come along, you're looking to make some friends, you're looking to have a creative time. But I think there's something about the energy of committing to something long term that you have to work on with other people that just opens you up to the possibility of talking about your life with other people and forming like a genuine connection. So I have had so many friends who I have met singing who have opened up to me about, the struggles that they're facing in their life, and have realized that, it's not actually working for them, or there's some element of their life that's not going the way that they want to. They need to have that time to reset, that time to power up and thrive, I suppose. And I guess music is just like this incredible, the musical environment is this incredible place where like you can just bring in yourself as you are, and by bonding, by working on a shared goal with a shared set of skills, eventually that lets you open up the mental space to work on the other stuff that's going on in your life. And I've seen that. I think I could count on one hand the number of people I've sung with who haven't ended up having that experience in the choir room. It's everybody. It's just such a holistic experience, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you totally. I've seen it many, many times as well, and it is almost magical in a way that it can create that kind of mental shift. I guess it helps people in shifting forward from who they are, from how they feel or who they think they are, to finding themselves and bringing themselves out through lyrics, through performance, through just connecting with an audience and presenting a musical piece.
I think it's such a boon to mental health to do something like this, to sing in a choir or to become a part of any musical ensemble, because it requires that you give a little bit of yourself, but like personally, as well as the skills that you bring, like with the instrument or with your voice or whatever. And so I just think you get so much personally out of it, because you just become, in my experience at least, a truer representation of yourself. And like I have found that singing in choirs and singing with people like yourself and with Abbey has helped me feel more authentically myself. And that's not an experience I've ever got while, say, fishing. So
no, I get that.
I do like fishing.
I understand that. Yeah. That said, though, it is a competitive art form. The art form that we sing in, the barbershop art form, is competitive. There is a contest stage. We practice up songs for an event, which comes on once a year, and we're singing 2 songs, and we've got 8 minutes on stage, and you spend the whole year preparing for it. Tell me, when you're standing backstage, and I've stood backstage with you, when you're lining up to go out there and present what you've worked so hard on, how does that sit with you mentally? How do you prepare for that personally inside yourself? Not the stuff that we do as a group beforehand, but within your own mind, within your own mindset.
That's a great question. That's a really good question. By the time I get to the contest stage door and I'm lining up and I'm ready to go, I've just had to learn to let all of my worries and anxieties fall by the wayside, because there is exactly nothing I can add at that moment that's going to have any impact on the performance that I give. And so I think what I try to focus on, or what I try to come back to when I'm, sort of resetting my emotional state, is I try to focus on the trust that I have in the people around me. The fact that I know that we've worked really, really hard on the next 8 minutes, and we've spent, hours and hours just working on trying to figure out how best to tell the story that we're about to tell. And so I just, this has changed, by the way, since when I first started singing in barbershop contests. I used to be terrified by the concept of going out there and bearing my soul on stage. But
I think we've all been there.
Yeah, it's a bit of a hazing ritual, I think. Is all right, out you go out there on stage and feel things for 8 minutes. It's a powerful powerful emotion. But I think what I have come back to is just telling myself how lucky I am that I get to share the message I'm about to share with the audience. And it doesn't even matter if it's an emotional ballad or if it's a comedy piece. It's more, this is something that I've worked on with the people around me, and now I get to share why it's important to me. And the times, and I think there's a link between like how ready and relaxed you are on stage and how that comes across to the audience, because the times that I've received the best feedback about how authentic my performance is have been the times when I have been the most relaxed, the most reset, I guess, the most not stressed about the product, just ready to deliver it. And it almost feels like a cruel irony that the times that I was least concerned with what the performance was going to feel like, that it was the best. So yeah.
That's an indictment for the mindset in doing that, though, because you're right in what you're saying. When you're standing backstage, the best thing you can do is just try and empty your mind. It's all in there. You know the words, you know the moves, you know what you're going to do. Yeah. Just relax into it and have a great time. And we're all told to do that.
Yeah,
it's not an easy thing to do. And then you go out there and you present your piece. And if you do make a little error in there somewhere, that immediately creeps into your mind, and you've got to try and push that away so you don't mess up something else while you're thinking about that.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then when you get off stage, there's a rush of euphoria, which I'm sure you felt as well.
Yeah.
Followed closely by that was it. That was 8 minutes. That was really quick, and it's now gone for another year. And
yeah,
it's a roller coaster.
It is a roller coaster, and it's a roller coaster much like real roller coasters that we choose to put ourselves on, because I think there is something in the experience which is letting go of the performance, both before you give it and then afterwards, because you go, okay, I have let go of all of the things that are holding me back from enjoying this. I'm just going to enjoy this, and then at the end, I can now stop stressing about the things that were worrying me about this performance 2 weeks ago, because I've done them now, and there is even less that I can do now than I could do when I was, backstage 8 minutes before the performance. So, yeah, I used to have this. I used to have a director who would say often, if you are worried about what to do on stage, just sing the plan. He would say that over and over again. Just sing the plan. And at first I thought, okay, well, it seems a bit artificial to say just sing the plan when there's so much, musicality going on. But actually I find myself in times of stress and in times of like difficult periods in my life, often writing that phrase down. Like if I'm doing an interview at work, or if I'm like, trying to prepare for something difficult, I'll often it's become a mantra for me now. Just sing the plan.
Sing the plan.
Your body knows what it wants to do. It knows how to do it. And you've worked hard enough, so you should just enjoy it. And if you stick to those, if you stick to the things that you've prepared, and it actually gives you a little bit of freedom to play in the space and just have a good time. So,
yeah, absolutely. And look, we've kind of hijacked the whole interview a little bit into the barbershop thing again, which that can happen.
I'm sure Abbey won't mind.
No, she'll be fine with it. But the mental side of it is something that I wanted to draw back from it. We were talking about the performance, but there's there's aspects of what we experience when we go and do that are actually very akin to things that many people, even people who don't sing, in fact, particularly people who don't sing, find themselves in that same mental headspace.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So from the bits of the book that you've read, I'm guessing you haven't read the entire book yet, but from the bits of the book that you've read, how do you think that relates to? How do you think the singing side of it relates to non-singing issues and problems that people face in their everyday lives?
Yeah, well, I think I could come back to the skewed metaphor I tried to pull a few minutes ago about it being a roller coaster we choose to go on, because it's almost like a training circuit for a series of emotions that you experience in your life. You know, when I'm preparing for a performance, I go through the stress of having to, learn things that I'm not very good at yet. And so I spend a lot of time like trying to learn the music specifically. And then I have to layer on like, okay, how would I want to perform this? And how does that align with what the rest of the direction for the piece is? And then, there's all of these elements that you build in that I think, even though they are very specific to singing, are also a good example of, well, I would say a textbook example of how to build mastery in your everyday life. I mean, I think there's the quote that goes around a lot, which is that excellence is therefore a habit, not a specific thing. It's something that is the layered experience of everything that you do. And I think singing, and particularly competitive singing, teaches you that the product that you put on stage is the product of all of the hours in the rehearsal room. It is just 8 minutes, but it's 8 minutes that's built on top of 100 hours of work. And so I think when I'm trying to learn to do something difficult, I think that's what I come back to, because there are many areas of my life that I feel like I'm not very good at, and I think that's probably a fairly common feeling.
Yeah.
But because I know that I'm good at something, which is preparing to sing on stage, I can apply those learnings to make the process of getting better at other things that much easier. It's just building the mastery that I know I'm capable of doing because I've done it with something that I was, not very good at before. And
that mastery has come about from the time that you spent doing it. So that is then something that other people can take some comfort in that the things that they do need to power up and thrive on are things that they can do from something else that they do well. They can use a similar set of building blocks to put that plan together to be able to get themselves out the other side of that.
Absolutely. I mean, if you've already done the process once, reset, power up and thrive, if you've done that once, it's a set of building blocks which can help you do it in any circumstance. You could take the singing out of it completely. I could still look at, the people that I sing with. I could still watch my performance and see the mastery that I know wasn't there when I started. So, it's a very powerful thing. But there are other emotions too. Like I think, I wear a smartwatch, and sometimes for fun, I like to take it on stage with me just to see how this goes. And when I'm singing in quartet, particularly, my heart rate will normally be sitting around 80 or 90 in the warm-up room, and then by the second I walk on stage, it spikes at 160. Like it's just an immediate stress response, despite the fact that I am like very comfortable on stage and I'm very like prepared and focused. My body is still like, this is a threatening situation. And I think even though I know it's not, and I have a lot of trust, being in that situation is a good way to train my body into going, well, actually, our stress response doesn't need to be this elevated, because we can, this is a safe place. And if I make a mistake, the only people who will know is me, the three people next to me, and then maybe someone in the audience will get it, but I'm not going to see them again for a year, so it doesn't matter. Like,
it doesn't really matter, At the end of the day, there's no saber-toothed tiger coming to get you. It's quite safe. You're doing okay.
If there was a saber-toothed tiger that was triggered by barbershop music, I think my life would be a lot shorter and sadder.
Yeah. So in a way, that last question we've actually answered, or almost answered, my final question to you, and that is, with all of this in mind, why should somebody go out and buy Reset, Power Up and Thrive?
Because it's a set of building blocks that I think will help you in pretty much any stressful situation. Like we have been through personally, and as a broader society and in musical society, we've been through a lot over the last 4 or 5 years. Like,
Yeah.
I remember feeling shocked when I discovered that our insurance company had decided that singing in a group was more high risk than skydiving a couple of years ago.
I remember that.
Had told us that, this thing which had previously we'd all agreed was a low risk, very very good mental health activity, suddenly you couldn't do it anymore. And I think it's only because of the mental resilience and because of the teamwork and the trust and the love and the dedication from the people around me that I was able to, pull myself out of the depression that came from not being able to do the things that I loved for so long. Yeah. And so any resource that helps you build that resilience and helps you build that kind of confidence in yourself and that ability to build mastery, I think is exactly what we need to read.
Yeah.
So
I agree with you, mate.
And I haven't read the whole book based on what I've read so far. So yeah.
Well, the chance to read the book is now. In fact, it's Friday morning, 11 a.m. Queensland time, Brisbane time, which is when the book launch actually happens. And that's an important time. You'll see another video from Abbey, and it talks about why the book launch is such an important time. And it is actually an opportunity for you to pick up this book at a mere 99 cents, but only for 24 hours. So if you jump on from 11 a.m., it is a steal, yeah. 11 a.m. on Friday, grab yourself a copy, and we'll see you on the other side. Josh, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate your commentary and your thoughts and input on this.
Thanks very much, Mitch. I'm really looking forward to reading the book.
Take care.
You too, mate.
See you, buddy.
See ya.